Good morning and happy Tuesday for all of you watching another great Tuesday 10 at 10. I am your host, Richard Charpentier, the founder and owner of Baking Innovation, and I am filling in for Dr. Lynn Carson to answer all the wonderful questions we have received from you, the viewers. So let's get right into it. First question: what is the best roll-in fat for croissants? Well, that's a great question. So, if you can see nowadays, what can you use to make croissants? The simple and obvious answer will be butter, margarine. You even have vegan alternative fats. So they come in all sources. But I'm going to tell you the ways to pick the right margarine. So the first thing is to understand that you want a fat that's going to be plastic at a certain temperature. And what do I mean by plastic? Meaning it's going to still be pliable and have a way where it doesn't break. So the good, and that fat, if you follow that, you can pick any fat you want. So you want it to be able to form continuous thin layers at a temperature between 50 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit, which is between 10 to 13 degrees Celsius. So that's an important point. So you want it to be pliable at those temperature. And the other factor, which is super important in picking the right roll-in, is its melt point. What temperature does the fat melt at? So in order to create a nice flaky texture, because it's basically through steaming action, as you put in the oven, the moisture within the fat is going to want to escape and is going to create those layers on top of the yeast if you're making a Danish or a croissant. But the melt point is going to be between 104 to 111 degrees Fahrenheit and 40 to 44 degrees Celsius. So remember, plasticity at the colder temperature when you're rolling it in, and the way it's going to melt. So other than that, you can, people will go and picking the best butter and butter from Europe or butter from the US. The rest is basically milk solids and the flavor you're going to get. So based on your budget, it's going to be it for you to decide. Great question, though. All right, next question. Can you introduce me to some good lab use mixers? What to do with mixers? So if you have in your lab, you have to think about, if you want to make a bread, what are the things that you're trying to achieve when you're making a bread in a lab? So you're trying to incorporate air. That's what the mixer will do, because it's mechanical energy working through it, and also to develop the elastic properties of the gluten. So that's what you see, when you stretch your gluten in the window pane, people say, wow. And you're looking for that. So for the mixers to have the ability to work through, to be strong, to be durable. You don't want to break or heat up after a while. So what types of mixers do you have when you're trying to pick? Well, they come in all forms and shapes. The most obvious that people have seen everywhere around the world is the Hobart mixer. It's a dough hook. You change the attachment. You can put a paddle or a whip if you're trying to make angel food cakes or anything, foamy. But the hook for mixing bread, it works well. It works fantastic. But is this the best? What are you trying to achieve? So if you see, if you're in your lab, you're trying to mimic, a commercial bun application, you'll be better off investing money in an horizontal mixer with a bar in the middle. So there's the mixer you will see where the dough will flop around, and there's a bar that basically stretches almost like candy making, and it will pull and get doughs that are highly viscoelastic with very, very strong extensibility. That's for that. You do have in French bakeries, I've seen people swear by the fork mixers, basically a fork that will just spin, and as the ball rotates and it just spins and grabs it and incorporate the air very gently. Or in Italian manufacturing, I've seen the spiral. a spiral mixer. It's a quick action, and it takes the dough and stretch it quickly. So all of them basically achieve the same results. It's going to be up to you to decide what mimics, because if it's for a lab, what mimics the production. And that's what I would recommend. Good question. Next question. I use SP emulsifier using 2.5% on formula percent. And I'm trying to replace it with Surfax. Any health problems or hazards to customers in order to replace the SP with Surfax? Well, first of all, on that question, the first thing I would say, I would go search that topic also on Bakerpedia. They have wonderful resources in terms of emulsification. So I'm sure if you have not done it, I would say spend a few minutes, just read through it. And if you do have further questions about the topic I'm about to talk about, you can go to the product development tab on the Bakerpedia and click on consultation team, and then you can hire me if you need more help with your emulsifier. But looking for your SP emulsifier, I did some search online, and basically, you know, it's a composition. It's a brand name. SP Surfax is a brand name. What's a composition, and what do they do? And because they're all different. And that's one thing we need to understand. Emulsifiers are not created equal at all. So yours is basically a blend of polyglycerol esters and propylene glycol with some sorbitol humectant. So, and that will act completely differently as a Surfax, which is going to be a composition of SP. So when basically understanding emulsifiers are also called surfactants, so you can find the term surfactant. They come in 4 different categories. So they're basically the type of charge their molecules contain. So basically ionic, non-ionic, and cationic. So it's, you know, it could be their terms. The degree of solubility within, you know, how soluble are they? Their HLP, the AB balance. So basically it's the hydrolipophilic balance. And on a 0, it's a scale of 0 to 20. A 0 meaning it's lipophilic, meaning it likes fat. Lipophilic, it's attracted by fat. On the 20 means it's hydrophilic, meaning it's water. So it's good because in a cake you do have fat and you do have water. So it's always a good thing to ask, what is the HLB, you know, number, and then you can, based on what you're doing. And the last thing is functionality group. So in order to check whether or not it's safe for your consumers and there's no health hazards, I don't know where you're located, so check with your local regulations. I can't answer for that question. And also go to the manufacturer and see the, you know, usage rate. Is there a limited amount in terms of regulations that you can go above? So, and the second thing is, do you get similar results, and are you pleased with the results? Are your consumers happy, and do they notice any differences? That's the way I would approach it. Good question. And now for the last question, how to increase the shelf life of my cassava cakes. So, you know, cassava is known by a lot of people in the industry as a good replacement, a good gluten-free replacement to wheat flour. But they're very different. You know, cassava flour contains very little protein, about 2 to 3%. As a wheat flour, when you make cakes, it's about, you know, 7 to 8, and it's a lot of carbohydrate. So in order to increase shelf life of cakes, you know, the natural culprits will be add more sugar. Sugar will help, you know, increase the shelf life. Enzymes, they do help. And hydrocolloids, you know, gums and certain fiber to really retain the water and the proper moisture within your cake, so you get the proper shelf life. A word of caution: because I've done some work on cassava, and I've found that cassava, based on where it's manufactured and how it's manufactured, will really affect your result. So maybe it could be as simple as saying, hey, could I get a different manufacturer of cassava, and see if their flour works better. One thing is I would recommend is look at the granulation size of your cassava flour, meaning, the texture. Is this really fine powdery, or is this a little coarse? So the finer it is, the better water absorption you would get, and it should help you out. And I would recommend doing things in combination, and that should be a good way for you to basically extend the shelf life. So, and remember, if you're looking for a community to brainstorm an idea, a thought, join me on the Baker Forum. It is free to join, and it, again, free costs nothing. So go click in and join me, and we can start conversations and join the revolution in the forum of baking. It's fun. And again, my name is Richard Charpentier. Thank you very much for listening, and you have a great Tuesday and happy baking.